Hi, this is Randy. Going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to do a possible series. I have a friend here with me who is going to tell her story about the narcissist in her life. Hi, Mary.
Hi, everybody.
So, Mary, can you start off and tell us how you met the narcissist?
I met him on a website. This was back in like the end of 2006, the beginning of 2007, on Yahoo Personals. Back that when that was a thing.
Okay, and how old were you at the time?
I was about 37-ish, 37.
Okay, and how long did you talk online before you met face to face?
We really didn't talk until after the new year, and then we ended up talking. And I just remember he was very businesslike when we first started just talking online. But then when we finally talked on the phone, he was very different. And we decided to meet up, and we met. I don't know, maybe a few weeks after the new year.
So, how was the first date? Was there any red flags?
Um, you know, Looking back on everything, I didn't really think of anything as a red flag at that point because I was so new to. I wouldn't have known. But he was talking about his marriage because he was just recently divorced from like about a 13 or 14-year marriage. And, he had never been on any other dates besides me. Never. He, he married his first love. He married the first woman that he ever slept with. And so I was totally new to him. And I just remember thinking, how inexperienced he was, and I felt like I was so experienced compared to him as far as dating was concerned. So he would tell me his story, and I've heard stories before about marriages, so I didn't really think much of it. I didn't think of anything as being a red flag at that point.
Okay, and you and him were around the same age?
He's 2 years younger than I am.
Okay, so then what did you like about him when you first met him?
He, as I said, he had such this inexperienced kind of way about him, which was very endearing. But at first, I really didn't even, I wasn't even sure if he was that attractive. Um, but then as I grew to talk to him, and his personality really drew me in. He was just funny, charming, extremely intelligent. Um, just the way he looked at me. Uh, and he was very open about his feelings. He told me right away that he was attracted to me, and he drew me in really with his personality. I wanted to spend more time with him. I really did.
Okay, so you agreed to a second date, and when you went on a second date, did you start talking more about yourself?
Yeah, by the second date, I wanted to tell him a little bit about some of the things that I had gone through. And one thing is that I'm a breast cancer survivor. And, I was always nervous dating and telling people that because I wasn't sure how people would react. But he was great about it. And the other thing is that I had weight loss surgery really just the year before. I had just lost about 100 pounds. And I had trouble eating, and it was hard for me to keep food down. So when I went on the date, I wasn't feeling good right after we ate, and I had to kind of tell him what was going on, and he was again very very understanding, open. Nothing bothered him at all, and I remember his sons calling him on the phone during the date, and he just seemed like a great dad. So he just seemed like an all around good guy.
Okay, so he was intelligent, charming. He really accepted you. He had no problem with the fact you had breast cancer and this other surgery, and he just rolled with all that and paid a lot of attention to you and was pretty focused on you. Good conversation.
Yeah, just all of that. He was just. I mean, I really thought to myself, this could be just a great guy. Um, Unfortunately, it didn't stay that way.
So you continued to date for about a month, and did he tell you something
Yeah,
at that
well,
point?
well, we dated for a while, and he would send me flowers to my job, and he was, like I said, we really got along. We did, we did end up sleeping together, and it was, it was good. There was a lot of passion, but he was really having a hard time, I think. You know, uh, as far as with intimacy, he wasn't used to being with somebody else, and so it was difficult for him to maintain. Let's just put it to you that way. But everything was great, the chemistry, everything, and so about a month or a month and a half into the relationship, one day he started acting a little bit distant, and I call that his business side, his business like kind of personality, and I, he sprang me on me some news that I just was shocked, and he said that he was talking to another woman at the same time as me, and so here's where the triangulation started. And I said, well, who is this? And he said, it's somebody from another state, from a neighboring state. And at this point, I said, well, have you met her? And he said, no, he has not met her, but he feels like he needs to meet her. He feels compelled. He has to go meet her. And he said, I'm going to go meet her this weekend. I just have to do it. I have to find out who this person is. Mm-hmm. And I've gotten emotionally connected with her on the phone. And I have to do it. And I said, well, you know that it's easy to fall in love on the phone, okay? And I tried to explain to him the whole concept of how people get duped on the telephone. And I said, we've got a great thing here. Why are you messing it up? Why would you do that? He said, I just have to do it, and I'll let you know what happens when I get back. So, of course, I spent the whole weekend freaking out and upset.
So it's interesting that he's dating you, and he seems a little bit uncomfortable with, having another relationship. I mean, supposedly he's only been in one with his wife, and he's not even really comfortable sexually, but yet he's pursuing someone else at the same time. And then for some odd reason, after 6 weeks, even though you and him were getting along just fine according to you, he decides he needs to tell you that he's pursuing someone else, and he has this urge to meet her. It doesn't. Mm-hmm. This sounds a little bit weird. It sounds unusual. I mean, why even tell you about the other girl? You weren't exclusive at that point, and if he's dating other people or wanting to pursue them, I don't understand why he's really telling you about these feelings he has, especially when he hasn't even met her.
Well, that's the thing. This is where, I really met him at the beginning phases. I'm sure, he's always been a narcissist, but I think I met him in the beginning phases when he wasn't so practiced at what he was doing. And so, I think that he started to hone his skills in during the time that we were dating and after. And we'll get into that in another few videos because the story gets worse, everybody, believe me. But yeah, he felt the need to tell me, and so of course the whole weekend long I'm upset. And then when he got back from meeting her, he broke up with me. He told me he was in love with this woman, okay? And this was a common thing that I've heard him say before. But he said, I'm in love with this woman and I'm sorry. And I said, she's long distance, it's not going to work out. He said, well, I'm going to pursue it anyway. And so that's phase one of our relationship. And
okay,
it was
so
over at that point.
Mary has some phases. She calls it phases of her relationship with the narc. That's phase one. So it's interesting. He was, kind of quiet. You don't know much about him. He has this long-term marriage as a, young guy and has a kid and then gets out of the long-term marriage. And then it seems like he starts kind of going a little bonkers, a little bit wild because he's got Mary here. There's, nothing wrong with the relationship as far as anyone would think. That might develop into another long-term relationship, right? That's what I might think. But then he decides, no, that's not enough. I'm going to do another one also at the same time. And then he decides to tell her, which is weird. And then he decides to break up with her after meeting with the new girl one time. And these things aren't really adding up, but of course, I'm sure Mary's just confused, but you didn't know what a narcissist was at that time.
I had no idea. I had no idea what narcissism was. It took the end of our grand finale for me to start looking online to try to find out what was going on with this man because, as I said, that was phase one. And
don't get
we're
into
gonna
the
no
next.
phase 2 will come up next, but believe me, there's so many layers to this story that a lot of your minds are going to be blown, people.
Right. All right. Well, we'll end there. Thanks a lot. And thanks for listening.